Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the On the Clock show with me, your host, Etienne Lepage from Blue Chip Prospect, and my co host, Prospect Don from Prospect Don. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I am good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Today, the goal of this show, what we want to do is going to be a two-part show. The first part of the show is going to be just a look back at the 2025 draft. Obviously, we're not going to be redrafting the draft because it's only been 6 months or something like that. But there is additional data because they've played like a little bit more than half of a season already. So we have more data. We can see a little bit which player is doing well, which player is doing not so well. And basically that's a trend. If a player is doing well, it's looking good for his future. If a player is not doing well, it's not looking that great. Obviously, he could explode at some point. So the point is not necessarily to judge the player, but it's more just to give our opinion on who was taken in the right place, who should fall back a little bit, who should maybe go up a little bit and stuff like that. And the second part of the video is going to be the Blackhawks prospect pool, where we have the specialist here, the prospect Don, who knows everybody and knows everything about the prospect, talks to them on a daily basis. So, so he's going to be able to give his opinion, and I'm going to give my opinion too, because I'm not here just to watch him talk. All right. So let's start with the 2025 draft. Uh, and the way we're going to do this, we're just going to go down the list and basically give what you think is the potential of that player and say if he was taken at the right place, something like that. And we're going to start with number one. And the number one, I feel like the answer is pretty easy. That's going to be Matthew Schaefer. For me, he was taken first overall. He deserved to be first overall. I think he's going to be a top of the league type of defenseman. Maybe not a Makar. I think Makar is still something that's a little bit
Mhm.
unattainable for most high-end elite or even franchise defensemen, but still like a top of the league, a top five defenseman or something like that in the league. What do you think?
Yeah, Matthew Schaefer is a franchise defenseman, and I think that he needed a little more hype. Last draft, I like me and some other people were talking about how deep the draft was and how elite the top of the draft was, and there just was no hype for it for months. I
Yeah.
think there started to be hype like 1 month before the draft, maybe a little bit. But Matthew Schaefer is an elite prospect. The hype should have been a little more. I think that like Michael Misa and Haggins and Porter Martone, they tried to stick with him the entire year, even though he was hurt. But what he did at
Mhm.
the World Juniors and one game in like four, and then another game in 4 minutes, he was just absolutely incredible. You saw how much better he was. He plays better with better talent around him, and he plays better against better players. So this is a guy that is going to continue to get better. He's looked fantastic. He's already a 40-point player in the NHL. What even is that for an 18-year-old kid that was one of the youngest players in the entire
It's
draft?
crazy.
Like he was only like 1 or 2 weeks away from being in this year's class and probably might have been shooting for like the number 2 or 3 pick because of the hype that, you know, Steinberg and McKenna have, but
Yep.
that we got him first overall. Then he got the opportunity to play with the Islanders. They gave him all the ability to, like make the roster and play with the Dobson trade, and it's just looked fantastic. He was the right
Yep.
pick. He has looked absolutely incredible. He is their franchise now, and I think any team would have wanted him. That lottery looks a lot more important now, and I can't believe the Islanders won with their such small percentage, and I don't think we're talking about it enough, but it was an incredible lucky lottery for the Islanders, and he allowed them to rebuild in a way where it was such a quick retool, in my opinion, where they
Mhm.
got so many assets now and they could just build around him. So incredible pick for the Islanders. I'm happy for Islanders fans that they get this guy.
Yeah. What do you think of Michael Misa? The beginning of the season was a little bit rough. He's doing well since he's coming back from the U20s. He was not that great at the U20s, but now he's looking pretty good. What do you think?
Well, I believe Michael Misa is an elite prospect, and I think his skating is fantastic. But I do think, and I don't want to be harsh on the Sharks, but I think the Sharks organization kind of put him in a little bit of a hole early in the season.
Yeah.
When you have a guy like this with this much skill, you put him in the top six, you put him with your incredibly elite players in the top six, like even a Celebrini or Will Smith or Eklund, you have the pieces around him for him to be sheltered in such a way. Like he has pretty good point production for the time on ice he's getting and like the role he's been playing, but he needs to be the one of the top contributors on the top six and allow him to play with elite players. So I'm impressed with the points that he's putting up based on how raw he is still is
Hmm.
he's such a young player, but I think that he needs to also be put in positions in the beginning to succeed. Now he's coming alive a lot more. I think the World Juniors was a little slow for him, but he was also that team was loaded in Canada. You wanted him to be one of the best players, but he was also doing everything. Like his B game looked a lot better in the World Juniors than
Yeah.
we kind of expected as well. So I think that you wanted to see those strengths. You knew that he had the speed, you knew that he had the offensive skill, the play driving ability, and that's kind of showing itself. He's going to be a fantastic player. I think
Mhm.
that's kind of a piece that many teams would have wanted. I do not see him falling out of the top two in any sort of way. You
Yeah.
know, I know there was talk about
So
Frondell.
in your mind, he's still the number two prospect on that
Yeah,
list.
yeah. I At this time, yes, I will say that I have been pretty impressed with what Frondell had done at the World Juniors. I thought that he was more impressive than a guy like Michael Misa, but at the same time, the roles were different. You
Mhm.
had Frondell with, I guess, more opportunity for him. So and also he Frondell had Victor Eklund. I don't think you have anyone that has that same chemistry with Michael Misa as a Victor Eklund with Frondell. So I do think that we need to put that into place. But Frondell looked a lot better, and he's also playing the SHL. So I think Frondell has the higher floor, but I do believe that Michael Misa has the higher upside. So
Yeah.
I think it's just
Yeah.
like I would have rather had Misa. I know Frondell's my guy, um, but at the same time, I'm not trying to be biased here. I do
Yeah.
believe Michael Misa was the higher end prospect then, and I do think he is now. But I do think
Mhm.
that Frondell's draft year, we forget that he had like three straight injuries out of the gate, really
Mm.
slow to start. And then in the J20, he actually played well. But then when you go to the SHL, he's one of the guys that's most needed on that team. And, you know, he's getting a pretty nice role too. So, I,
Yeah.
like, I
Well,
think
I
one,
think
2,
that
and 3 would all be
basically,
there.
in my opinion, there's no way anybody right now is taking that spot at number two. Like, there's no
Yeah,
like, yeah, no, I don't think so. All right, so
100%.
let's jump into. What did you say?
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you.
All right. Next, Anton Frondel. I'll give my opinion first, and then you'll go. Uh, I First, he was not a guy that I saw in the top three last year. It's still not a guy that I see in the top three. Still, I think he's a complementary type of player, but I also think he's better than what I thought he was last year. Like it's somewhere in between the top three and between where I had him, which was I think like
Like 8?
10.
Oh,
Yeah,
10.
so somewhere between 8 and 11 or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. Um, but he's an incredible shooter. He's a big body. He's not like a 6'4" guy, but he's a heavy on the puck type of player. And those players tend to succeed in the NHL. They tend to be able to win their battles along the board, which is extremely important, and bring that puck to the middle of the ice. He's a guy that's not afraid to go in the middle of the ice. He, and like I said, his one timer and his wrister are just like elite level. So that will make him an NHL player. Uh, is he a guy like you said? He's a guy that has a strong, a high floor. I'm just not sure about the ceiling. To me, like I said, I see him as a complementary player, not as a driver. I see him as a winger more than I see him as a center. So for me, it would not be top three. Still, I don't know who I would replace him with, but it would probably not be top three, but probably closer to the top three than what I had him last year.
I believe that he would be top 3 because I don't see anybody that has stood out to me to be top 3. I was more of a James Haggins and Porter Martone guy going into the draft, but I've seen
Mhm.
Frondell become more of a complete player than both of those players. I think that his offensive skill set and his shot rivals a Porter Martone. His playmaking does not rival a James Haggins. He's not a play driver. That's not his game. But on the Blackhawks in their top 6, there's no one that really you need to have as a top 6 player that is a play driver because he's going to be fit in with multiple play drivers. So for me, it's either Anton Frondell or Caleb Desnoyers, and I just don't see it with Caleb Desnoyers this season that makes me think, oh, we have to jump him up. He had that early wrist surgery in the off season, and I know he's coming alive. Like, and you know, I don't see how James Haggins would have been drafted by the Blackhawks, even though I was a big
Mm,
fan of him and his playmaking was fantastic. But being a sub 6 foot center, that probably is more of a forward on that team. I just don't see how the Blackhawks would have taken him. Porter Martone's skating issues have not really improved to what the Blackhawks would have wanted anyway. I know he's Michigan State's a good team and they always prioritize size, but I don't see anybody. I think Frondell in this spot has actually raised his value more than anyone. Everybody
okay.
else, I don't see that. I don't see anybody that's raised their value. Maybe Brady Martin. Brady Martin's looked fantastic. He is
Yeah.
always a player that is going to play very, very intense. I think he's a Florida Panthers type of player, which is a copycat league, but I just don't. I would have hated the Blackhawks taking Brady Martin at 3 at that point. You would have traded down. So the
Mm.
value is just Anton Frondell, and I actually think that it's a better pick now than it was in June 27. So I think that it's a locked and loaded Anton Frondell at 3. Who would you pick here? Like in
At
your
number three,
opinion? Yeah.
I really, really like Porter Martone. Yes, the foot speed is not to the standard of the Blackhawks, but I don't know if you actually need that.
Hmm.
You know, because the Blackhawks, they have a lot of speed already. You just need a guy that's capable of, how can I say that, follow with his mind. You don't need a guy that's necessarily capable of following with his feet. You already have a lot of speed in transition. Like basically every prospect they ever drafted is a speedster. So they don't need more of that. They need more like diversity in their offense. And I think Martin can bring a little bit of that. But regardless of the team picking, I think Martin, Caleb Denoyer, even Brady Martin are probably players that would fit there, or at least players that I think I like as much as Frondell right now.
Well, is Frondell or Martone better defensively in your opinion?
Frondell. He was last year and he still is.
Well, this is an interesting question because whose shot do you think is better? Because Frondell is an absolute
Frondell.
sniper. Porter Martone. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Porter
I,
Martone's a better playmaker in your opinion and a play
I,
driver?
I think he's a much better thinker of the game.
Okay.
I think he has more. I don't know if diversity is the right word for that. It's like
Like
he's more
versatility.
versatile. Like he's a like even though he's bigger, like you are taller, I don't think he plays necessarily bigger than Frondell. Frondell, like I said, he's heavy on the puck. But the thing is, Porter Morton is a much smarter player in my opinion. Even though I think the skating is pretty equal between both. Like they're both not blazers. Maybe Martin is maybe a little bit below, and even then, I'm not exactly sure because Frondell is not thriving in transition. The shot is better with Frondell, but the way Porter Martin can create plays, can pass the puck, and his shot is not like it's not like the light years behind Frondell. Like the way he releases the puck is just amazing. He doesn't have the one timer of Frondell, probably doesn't have the heaviness on the wrister of Frondell, but he has the quick release of an NHL scorer, like
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
questions asked. So I think he's just more versatile as a player.
He's
And on top of that, you get the 6'3" thing that, it's just
It's highly
attractive.
coveted. Totally get that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get your opinion on that. But like I thought that was great description. But at 4 for Utah Hockey Club, do you think that they still take Caleb Desnoyers in your opinion?
Yeah, I think he's perfect for them. Yeah, first he's a center. Yes, he had the wrist injury and all these things last year in Memorial Cup, but basically in the entire season. But right now he's still 53 points in 32 games in the QMJHL. Yes, it's the QMJHL, but it is what it is. It's still very good production. There's no like debate about that. And he's a guy that has size. He's a guy that's smart. He's a guy that competes hard. Um, like maybe like it's hard to say. Like, yeah, he's never impressive when you watch that guy. He's never impressive on the ice, but you know the type of player he's going to be at the NHL level. And I see him a little bit like a Nico Hischier, maybe a touch under that, because he sure can be a point per game player one year out of two, maybe when he's not injured. But that same type of impact, competitive, big enough player who can make plays, can shoot the puck, can do a little bit of everything on the ice. Just very valuable. So I think at number 4 you get a good player. I think he deserves to be in the top 5 for me.
His playmaking was very evident at the World Juniors. It was, I think that when you look at a guy playing in the queue,
Mhm,
you kind of push him down a little bit. And I know that agents and some teams or some people in organizations, they kind of look down on like the queue in some ways, but I think that international tournaments are the best way to see an elite player in the queue because you are trying to evaluate what he's doing against the top tier talent that you don't necessarily get to see and him play with
mhm.
in the queue daily. So I feel like that was very good to see how his playmaking translated. I think he had like 6 points and six points
Yeah,
in seven
someone.
games,
Yeah,
and they were he has a lot of skill. He has a lot of really good defensive traits that I believe are NHL traits that are going to transition well. And I just feel like him not playing center a lot last year because of his wrist injuries and him putting up the numbers he did is just a really good evidence on how good of a player this is. So I was a little shocked when I heard that they were going to go the Caleb Desnoyers route because I feel like Utah has a lot of good prospects. So they didn't really need to go for the home run pick where
yeah.
that could have been a James Haggins in my opinion where it would have been a home run pick. I felt maybe the next team we're going to talk about should have went for that home run. So Caleb Desnoyers is a safer pick and I feel like the Mammoth needed that because they have so many incredible prospects. I can go down a list of their U21 prospects. It's just loaded. So I really like that pick
Yeah,
because it's
I
safe.
think it's perfect for them. It's like you said, it's not a high risk pick. It's not a guy that you draft for ceiling. But like you said, they have Simishev in the pipeline. They have Tiji Ginla, who's looking fantastic in the WHL. Like he's just
He's very good. Yeah.
yeah, he's like the best in the WHL. He's just so good. So you already have high ceiling players like that. And it's not like Caleb Denoyer is not a guy that's going to be able to put offense in the NHL. He's not a 40-point player. He's most likely above that. It's just he has
Yeah.
a very high floor and maybe a little bit lower of a ceiling, but still, I think it's a fantastic pick for them. It's going to
And you
fit.
have you get guys like Cooley, Daniil Boot,
Yeah,
Keller, which obviously isn't a like but just the speed there and the skill. You have guys like Paterka who I mean, good on the Sabres. I mean, they actually extracted pretty good value out of Doan there, but
yeah,
I would say the Utah Mammoth are next up, and I know that they shouldn't have been in the fourth pick. Obviously, they won the lottery, but this is a team that has a really bright future ahead of them. I feel bad for Arizona because they missed out, but I just feel like this is a team that needed a safer play and they might not draft here for the rest of this next era. So they needed that guy. That wasn't going to be a bust. You saw what happened. I mean, I'm not going to bring that up, but yeah. So this is a good pick for them. I feel like Nashville kind of was the team that I was a little shocked at,
yeah,
but Brady Martin has just looked better and better every single time I watch the guy play. He is an
yeah.
absolute bulldozer. I really thought the Predators were going to go in a direction where they needed to save their franchise, and they just did not do that. They did not go with James Haggins. They did not go with Porter Martone. I even thought maybe they would go with Jake O'Brien if they didn't take either of those two guys, but they took Brady Martin, who looked really, really good in the World Juniors. And I know he got hurt. Like this guy's throwing his body around all the time, so he's always risk to get hurt, but I'm not a player that would want to play this guy in a 7-game series whatsoever. He was going
Yeah.
to destroy me. I'm going to need ice baths, like cryotherapy. Like this guy is just so skilled in that body because he knows where to be. It's like he knows what he's really, really good at, and he's mastered those things, like in the front of the net, near the boards, and board battles. If if you are taking too long in the corner and you're not paying attention, this guy's going to absolutely wreck you. Like I am terrified of this guy, especially in the playoffs. I think that this is an absolute home run of a pick because they took the shot. They got a lot of heat for it early on, and I don't see him being a 70-point per game or 70-point per season player, but he doesn't need to do that. That's not his game. I do think that he's going to be a point per game player in the playoffs, which is very interesting to say. Uh, so that's why you take a guy like this. I don't see him as
Yeah,
like a
I
franchise
think he's more
changer.
like he's more like in the 50-60 range in terms of
Yeah.
points. Maybe
Yeah.
at some point he scores like a 30-goal season just because he's always in front of the net, creating chaos and doing his thing. But like at some point, it's not just the points. Like you have to have
Yeah.
some people that play a different style of hockey, and the fact that you have a player that can play heavy, hit hard, hit as hard as anyone, basically, play through contacts, has skills, can score, can make plays, can be in front of the net, can battle for pucks, can do like the offense is never going to be elite, but he brings so much more on the ice that like even though he's just probably let's say a 60-point player, let's say he tops out as a 60-point player in the NHL, but he keeps doing what he's doing. I mean, that's a top 5 pick all day long. There's like
Yeah.
what else do you want? And like a guy that hits like a truck all the time, but also makes like 60 points. Like, yeah, that's
Yeah, and
good.
he can build out his frame so much more. This guy is just pure farm strength. But I wanted to ask you about, Brady Martin, but there's a guy in this draft class that I think is one of the most, or the 2026 draft class is one of the most mysterious players because he did not get off to a great draft here because he couldn't play. But Oscar Hemming has absolutely torched the
Yeah.
NCAA since he's been back. I think that we kind of wanted to see what he's been doing into Tynan Lawrence's game for Boston because I think he only has 2 points in 13 games. But Oscar Hemming has, I believe, like 6 and 8 games, and that's just the guy that also hits like a truck. Um,
He has 8 and
I could
12.
8 and 12 games. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a player that I could see making a Brady Martin type of jump after we watch the playoffs. Do you agree with that on Oscar Hemming?
Yeah. And it's unfortunate. Because he's the guy like the Habs are probably not going to be picking high this year. They're going to be picking like probably somewhere in the 20s or something like that. Maybe 32. That would be great. But let's say somewhere in the 20s.
31,
Um,
31.
and he was like one of the guy that I really wanted like the Habs to pick late in the first round. And that is if they pick at all. They never pick now. They always trade their first round pick. But like he was the guy that I wanted in that spot, but now I think there's no chance. It's not gonna happen. 6'4" frame, skates well, shoots the puck, plays the middle, hits. Like he's putting up points. Just coming out of a 6-month break of hockey
Yeah.
in the
It's
NCAA,
absurd. Yeah.
like that guy is top 10 all day long right now. Like there's no way he's coming out of the top 10 in my opinion. So yeah, no, my dreams are gone.
Well, all I will say is if the Habs win the Stanley Cup, they will have the 31st pick. Thank you to the Senators. But
Yeah, that is true,
so
man.
that's
That's
a
so
good
cool.
boy.
That's so cool. It's
You could
uh,
get Brooks Rogowski. You could get Brooks Rogowski, maybe the new Dean Letourneau.
yeah, well, I trust them. I mean, the like Reinbacher is not going to be what he was drafted to be. Like we were talking before we started recording, like they did some miss. Took Meshar at 26, Owen Beck at 33. Was they missed sometimes, but they also got Lane Hudson at
They've had
62.
so many hits. I mean,
Yeah, so like I trust them. Like Jarovsky, like we're not there yet. He was taken at 34, but that guy is probably top 15, probably maybe even top 10 if you do a redraft right now. Like the guy's almost a
mm,
point per game in the KHL. He's just looking fantastic. He creates his own looks every single time he touches the ice. So yeah, we'll get there at some point. But
I'd
anyways.
rather. I mean, I know this is a interesting conversation, but I'd rather have him than Jack Nesbitt, in my opinion, right now.
That you mean Jarovsky?
Yeah,
But
in
yeah.
my
I mean,
personal opinion.
but yeah.
But
I mean, if you don't, it's because you haven't watched both. Personally, I mean they're both gonna fulfill different roles. Like if your team is in need of a role like Jack Nesbitt, which the Flyers is not what they need right now. I feel like they need higher
no,
hand talent.
yeah,
Um,
they have a lot of middle
then
six centers, a lot of
yeah,
them.
but man, for sure, I'd take Jarovsky before Nesbitt. Jarovsky, I don't know if you watched him, but man, he's looking.
Yeah, I did. I put a YouTube video. I know you just posted your YouTube video, so definitely watch that on Blue Chip Prospects channel. But I did a full all shifts for him that I just took
Yeah,
all of his like points that he scored, and he is such a talented, incredible. Like that dude has the puck on a string. Like I don't think that 4 defenders right now could take it away from him. It's just so
Crazy. Yeah.
fun. He is
Yeah.
incredible. I don't know how the hype wasn't there. If he was in the WHL or something like that, he
Oh,
probably
man.
would have gone higher. But it's just
It's
they're
the
actually giving
MHL
him a big
factor.
role too. They're his team is giving him a huge role.
Yeah.
You don't they don't
Well, he's their
I
best
forgot who
player.
he played
So
for.
what are they
Yeah.
gonna do?
Well, I forgot who he played for, but Marco D'Amico was talking about it. Like sometimes players his age in Russia don't get the leash that he has, but because I think
Yeah.
Sochi, so no,
Sochi? Who plays for Sochi?
who does
Mishkov
Zurovsky
played for
play for?
Sochi.
Who'd Zurovsky play for?
Salavat Yulaev.
Okay, yeah, I can't. That just like missed my brain. I was so close to saying that one. No, but uh yeah,
For sure.
Zurovsky has to they don't usually get high end players like Zurovsky, and Zurovsky blossomed. So I don't think anyone really knew he was going to be what Zurovsky is, but now he's probably one of the best players in Russia right now that is not doesn't have NHL experience. And you could go down a list like him, Cancerov, like are putting up incredible
Yeah.
numbers, but he is
Kansarov's
a
doing
very
crazy
high end
things,
player.
man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I don't know why we're talking about them because we're not there yet.
Yeah.
But Kanserov is not even in that draft. But anyways, all right, let's keep going with that. Porter Martone, like I said, for me, that guy could be in the top 3. I would have no problem with that. What do you think of Porter Martone? How did you like
You
the
take
season
Porter
so far?
Martone. I love
I
this
take him.
guy. I think everyone
What do you
should
mean?
take this guy.
Okay.
The
Okay, I thought
Flyers
you meant
have
I take him like you talk about him.
Oh no.
Okay.
I meant this was the captain of Canada at the World Juniors, and you kind of saw a different type of mentality. I didn't really think that going into the draft year, we were going to see a Porter Martone be the captain of a team that was so loaded over Michael Misa. I know but like he is such an incredible player and he's so talented and his hockey IQ is fantastic. He's very smart. He is a great captain. 36 points in 26 games in the NCAA in his first year is just fantastic. I am very impressed with what he's doing. Yeah, Charlie Stramel, thank God that man left Wisconsin because he is just putting up incredible
Yeah,
numbers, just so you
that's
guys know. But
crazy.
I will
I
say, Porter, you go ahead.
Yeah, I kept saying last year how Porter Martone makes me think of Mark Stone. A lot of people were saying like the Ketchuk. I think even in my own
Well, he was
prospect
saying it.
video, I was saying that he looked like a Ketchuk, and he actually doesn't look like a Ketchuk. Like, yes, he will do some of the talking and the stuff that goes on after the whistle, but he's more like a rugged, extremely smart, not that fast player like a Mark Stone. That's what he makes me think of. And if you can be anything close to that, I mean, that's just fantastic. Like a 6'3", heavy on the puck guy with tons of skills and one of the smartest player on the ice at all time. It's fantastic.
The biggest difference I've seen out of Porter Martone this year is he actually has developed that meanness into his game a little bit. It was not there in the OHL. I think a lot of people were hoping it would be for his size and the things that he can do, but he has an edge to him. Like I saw it at the World Juniors. After the whistle, I think is a very important thing that you can't see during the viewings online, but live in person, this guy is there for his teammates. He put that C on his chest and he changed. I think that the Flyers got an absolute steal here. His shot is fantastic. The only thing was just like his physicality and why was the meanness not there? Because he kept getting, he, it's so hard when these players are getting compared to the best of the best and
Yeah.
sometimes even Hall of Famers. But Corey Perry was one of his players that he modeled his game after. And it's just like, a guy that had that meanness to him that I don't think you can even teach somebody. It was just that old
No,
timey meanness. And it was just so much different. And the fact that Corey Perry was,
but nobody's gonna match that.
no one's going to match that. So I felt like it was a disservice to Porter Martone because I feel like people thought that when they saw him play, he was going to play a lot like that. but it wasn't like that. I think Mark Stone is a fantastic comp for him. This is a guy that is going to be a leader of a team in the locker room. He's a locker room guy as well, but he's going to show you with his skill. He's one of the most skilled players that I've seen at his size with that elite shot. So I would have loved my favorite teams to get Porter Martone. I think the Flyers got an absolute steal, and they did fantastic in the draft too.
But right now, like, would you take Anton Frandel or Porter Marton?
I'd take Frondell because of his defensive game. The transition game, I think, will continue to increase once he leaves the bigger international ice in the SHL. I do believe that I saw a better skater than I did last year in the World Juniors. I thought that he was more competent in terms of like what the Blackhawks needed with defense. I think that they went very, very offensive heavy, and they couldn't really afford to take a player like James Haggins or Porter Martone. So it kind of eliminated them from the start of the process. And also, he just wasn't as good of a skater. I do believe that I watch on more natural skater and Anton Frondel, and I think that he is the transition game will just continue to increase and be better as it's smaller ice. So I feel like that his biggest weakness is going to be eliminated when he comes here. And that's the exciting part about his upside, because if that is eliminated and that turns into one of his like, if he becomes an average transitional skater, that he could be a star. Like this is a guy that could be that like not Alec Barkov, but exactly kind of a similar role to what he's playing. Maybe not the point totals, but that's his player comp. But I just see that. I see more of the upside. I thought Porter Martone is more fun to watch. But every player that I asked in Sweden said that Frondel was the hardest player they played against, and that was
Yeah.
with playing against like Eklund and Stenberg. And this is a guy that just plays a way that I don't think shows up on tape too or stats. Like so I would go Frondel all day.
All right. And next at 7 and 8, there's James Higgins and Jake O'Brien, who are both playmakers who does the playmaking in a very different way. Who would you take between both, James Higgins or Jake O'Brien?
I would take James Haggins. I was a big James Haggins guy, but that's no shade on Jake O'Brien because I love Jake O'Brien's game. I just think James Haggins' fall in that 2025 draft was not necessarily right. What the thing was, he was playing the Will Smith role beside Ryan Leonard and Gabe Perreault, and they kind of put him into a position where he needed to put up incredible point totals, and that was just he was playing a different game. You're seeing what he's doing in the NCAA this year. He was good. He was always very clutch in the World Juniors, but yeah, he's their highest scorer. I can't believe that Dean Letourneau has just been
I
incredible.
know.
What
I,
the
I
heck?
was gonna highlight it, so you say it, and I was like, Jesus, I didn't look those stats in a while. I was like, I know he was doing
He
good,
is,
but I didn't know he had.
yeah, he is
Jeez.
on a tear this year. I know they also got William Moore for Boston, and actually they have a lot of
They love their Boston
Boston
College
College
guy.
is
Yeah,
basically
look at
Boston
this:
is
James
basically the
Higgins, Dean
Bruins.
Letourneau, Andre Gasso, William Moore, Christian Kostadinsky, Oscar Yelvik. And
Go to the goalies.
they go in the backyard. That's good. In the
Yeah.
goalies? No.
Let's see. Okay. Yeah, I think James Haggins was a player that should not have fallen that far. But I love Jake O'Brien. I think that Jake O'Brien is one of the like the best power play like playmakers that we've seen coming into a draft in a long time. I think that this guy is such a talented player. He has eyes in the back of his head. He can make any pass. It's going to be on tape. He helped Nick Lardis get 72 goals last year. Merrick Vanacker has kind of been elevated to that goal scoring role as well. And this guy is just somebody that is always going to find you. Obviously, his stats aren't phenomenal this year as they were last year, but I think that he is one of those players that should have been drafted in the top 10 for sure. And I thought that there was an opportunity for the Flyers to also take him. If Porter Martone was not taken, I do believe Jake O'Brien would have been drafted higher than James Haggins. But Boston was the perfect fit for Haggins. I know that they like the call that they did, the video call didn't work when Haggins was like drafted, but
Where
everything else
Higgins
has
is
gone
like,
pretty
thank you
smooth.
for drafting me, and then nobody's talking or
Yeah,
moving
no
on
one
the
said
screen.
anything. But Adam Sandler got to draft him, which was sick. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say
I,
both of the that like up to 8, it's probably very similar draft, honestly.
yeah, and I agree with you. Like I was a big fan, and I'm still a big fan of Jake O'Brien because he's one of the most skilled passer. Like as a passer, pure passer. If you take off like the handling skills and the skating and the time that you have around you and all these things, I think as a passer, he's one of the most impressive player that I've seen in such a long time. He's
Mhm.
amazing passer, like on another level. His vision is extraordinary. But I think James Hagen's game is more translatable to the NHL because he does everything at full speed. This guy never stops skating, he never stops moving his feet, and he can make these plays and his dangles, as much as his pass, as much as his shot, everything can be done at full speed, whether his feet
Mhm.
are pointing east west or they're pointing north south, doesn't matter. He can do everything on a dime really quick. Jake O'Brien is a very different type again where he needs more space. He has great hands. He's, like I said, an amazing passer. He's developing his shot. The vision is extraordinary, but not much is being done at speed, and that's a little bit of a problem to me. I was saying the same thing last year, and I feel like it's very similar still this year. It's something that will need to change because those type of playmakers, they don't really like translate well to the NHL. If you think like a Andrew Crystal, for example, like he was one of my favorite player in the draft. I loved him. I had him top 10, which is crazy. But Andrew Crystal was just as good in basically any sphere of the game as Jake O'Brien. But same thing, he was not moving his feet a lot and he was much smaller. So that's a little bit of a difference. But I like players who can do stuff at speed while their feet are moving. That don't have to stop moving their feet to make a pass, take a shot, look over their shoulder to see if a player is coming, and stuff like that. So I would still have him top 10 for sure. And he's proving to be a top 10 player right now. But I think James Higgins is the player that should be above Jake O'Brien, at least right now, because of that speed element and that, he's also a very competitive kid. Like, it doesn't show up that much because he's a 5'11" guy, but every time you watch him on the ice, he's like trying to hit. He's trying to battle for
Mhm.
pucks. He's trying to do everything that he can to win, and I like that. So,
Yeah, I love
all
Andrew
right,
Cristal. His skill is fantastic. What he was doing in the
yeah,
WHL for Kelowna
um,
was just absolutely nuts. I wanted the Blackhawks to take him when they took Adam Guyan because I felt like he was one of his Bedard's best friends. You kind of want to put that guy in
yeah,
your system, but they didn't do that. Obviously, I think he went to the Caps, right?
yeah. And I don't think he's doing that bad in the AHL. He's not a point per game right now, but he's a guy that's gonna need development because
Yeah.
the speed never got there. So if he makes it to the NHL in a big way, he's gonna be one of those smaller player that don't do well through contacts, that can't skate out to create space for themselves. Like there's not that many of them. Like if you can count five, that you got it. So he has to be one of those guys. You need to have special skills to reach that level. I think Crystal might have those special skills. When you watch him, he's just incredibly smooth in everything that he does. He's absolutely a lethal weapon with the puck on his stick, either as a shooter or a passer. But like it's still there's a long way to go. But I had him in the top 10 because I thought maybe at some point, like 5, 6 years later, he was going to be the player that I think he can be. So we'll see, but he's not there yet. All right. So after that, we go to where was I? Here, Rademarka at number 9. What do you think? I
I
haven't
I
watched him.
really I really like this guy. A big right-handed defenseman. I feel like it was exactly what Buffalo needed. I did not want to see them go with another center and just trade him. But honestly, the point production is really there this year. He's not going to be a goal scorer. He's going to be a just a assist player that gets all those points there. But really good defensively. I thought he played really well at the World Juniors. That Czech team was fantastic. Obviously, didn't light up the world with the points. He had 0 points, but in the World Juniors. But this is a Czech team that won silver, which I don't think anyone really saw. He was a late addition to that Czech team too, so He didn't get to play the full amount of games, but he went there raw. I think that this is a guy that is going to be a top four defenseman for the Sabres for a very long time. Really good fit. You could just put him into your lineup. Um, I think he deserved the top 10 pick at that time, but you're never going to get a guy that's going to get like 40 points, in my opinion. He's just not that kind of defenseman, but he's going to do so many other things around, and his B game is fantastic. Like he is so his reach is really really good, so he's going to be able to like poke check. He's going to stand you up at the blue line. I think that his power he's going to be a really good penalty killer because he has that really good hockey IQ too, and his defensive awareness is there. So this is kind of a guy that you just really, really need in your organization. And right-handed defensemen are so hard to find. I think that this was a really good pick.
Yeah, I agree with you, especially with where he went. He was the player that they needed. Basically, they needed to take a right shot defenseman. They needed a guy that was capable of playing defense. Like it's not that their defenseman can't play defense, but like you already have a lot of players who can move the puck, whether it's Owen Powers, Dallin, or Byram. They're all primarily puck movers, even though they can defend. But like Murka, his game will be the guy who stays back, covers a ton of ice with his reach, a ton of ice with his feet, and basically prevents the puck from going in while you have other player that can put the puck in the net on the other side. So I think he was a great pick for them. Is he ever going to be worthy of a top 10 pick? I think it's possible. I wouldn't put it out of the question. For them, yeah. For any other NHL team, maybe fringe top 10. Because, like you said, I don't think he has a lot of creativity. I don't think he's the guy who's going to put it up a lot of points. Maybe he puts up 25 points or something like that. But if he can play hard defense where he's physical and can covers a lot of ice and make sure that he prevents the interior of the ice in front of his goalie, then you've got something that's very valuable. And they have the rest of the elements that they need in their defense to move the puck forward. So I think he fits really well. After that, Roger McQueen.
I love Roger McQueen. He had a back injury, and that's kind of the reason that he fell. Very skilled. What is he? Is he 6'5" or 6'6" now? What is it?
6'6" now.
6'6". That's just crazy. Right-handed centers that are that size don't grow on trees, and he has that much skill. I didn't think Providence was the best location for him to play college hockey, in my opinion, for his skill set. But he's almost a point per game player, so I actually feel like that's way better than I thought was going to happen. I know, like John Mustard, for some reason the Blackhawks love those guys, but that are going to Providence. But his defensive game is going to continue to get better because he went to Providence. His B game was already pretty good for his size too. He can start to hit people more and build that frame, but at that age, like it's kind of harder to do that, build that muscle mass. He has so much potential. Really like this guy. He is someone that is so smooth on the ice. He can do a lot of good things really, really well. He had a lot of injuries last year, but in his first game of the WHL last year, he had 4 goals. And it was just like, this is a guy that has so much raw potential. I think that I'm impressed with everything he does. So I would continue. He's a first round pick, or he's a top 10 pick. And I think the Ducks
First round.
just
Okay,
can,
that's good.
they just they just hit it out of the ballpark every single time. I mean, him and Beckett Seneca are really high end upside players, and Beckett Seneca hit.
Yeah.
So I don't see why Roger McQueen wouldn't. But
I
what
think
do you
it'll take
think?
more time for Roger McQueen and Beckett Seneca. But I agree. I liked him a lot last year, and I still do. I think there's nothing that really changed. And last year he had like 17 games that he played in the entire season or something around that. And this year he actually gets to play in a tougher environment against bigger and stronger and older players, and he can still do his thing. Like he's not in a big college. He's not like on a big team, and he's still putting up points. He's second on the team behind Logan Sawyer. So I think he's doing great for where he was taken and the amount of games that he had last year. I think like yes, maybe you would like him to be more than a point per game or something like that, but I think you don't need that right away. It's you have a 6'6" guy with tons of skills. Like he's not just a hard hitter or something like that. He's a guy that has tons of skills. So yeah, I think it's good.
I think we should keep it as like a 10. And in the comments, if you guys want us to do more, I think then if you want us to do the full 32, I feel like comment down below to do it. I feel like this is a fun experiment, but it it takes a long time. We're already at 47 minutes, so I feel like we just cut it at 10.
So no, I think we should probably go and do a top 16 as usual. We always talk a little bit too much, especially you. So, so I understand top 32 is might be a little bit too much for today, and also we're not gonna have the time to do the prospect pool thing. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna do every prospect pool that are in a rebuild or coming out of a rebuild or in a retool or something like that. We're gonna evaluate all of them. It's just not gonna start today. It's gonna start with the next episode, and today we're gonna cut it at 16 instead of 32 because we just talked too much. So, all right, let's go with the next
My
one.
bad, my bad. All right, Ben Kindle. What do you think about this player?
Well, I was very surprised when they took him at number 11. Like very surprised. Even though I understand the production, he had like what 99 points last season or something like that, which is really good. But then jumped to the NHL right away, and I don't tend to evaluate the first year of NHL, especially at 18 years old, unless like they're star level player or something like that. But like he's doing so well that you don't have much of a choice but to evaluate it. He has 27 points, 14 goals in 53 games at 18 years old. Maybe he's 19 now. Is he 19? No, he's not even 19 yet. So fantastic season. Like as much as Schaefer is impressive, I mean, it's not on the same level, but Ben Kindle is extremely impressive too. 53 games, 27 points. You don't see that often, especially for guys that are smaller, but he has a lot going for him. He's a very good skater. He's a very smart player. He's a good playmaker. He has a good shot. He always put up points. So you expect him to put up points, but he plays really well for Pittsburgh. So definitely a guy that like has a chance to jump into that top 10 when you redraft this draft in like 3 or 4 years from now.
Oh yeah. I mean, the point production is just ridiculous based on what he's doing. When I don't believe that he should even be in the NHL right now. The fact that he just skipped over multiple steps and is already
Yeah.
doing this, you could tell that he really was producing in those practices and the scrimmages and during the off season. So can't believe what he's doing. 27 points in 53 games is nothing to scoff at for a guy that I think should be in the WHL again or AHL, or I don't know. I just didn't expect, I don't think anyone expected him to be in the NHL. He is actually the second highest point producer. He has 19 more points than Misa. I don't think anyone would have ever thought that
Yeah.
coming out of the draft. I know he's played so many more games, but at the same time, it's like, what is going on? I can't believe he's there. Really great kid. I'm surprised that the Pittsburgh Penguins took him. They traded up 2 picks, I believe, or no? Yeah, did they trade 2? No, 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 no.
Mm. It's too far
They
from
did
my
not. They
brain.
did not. It was the Flyers traded 2 picks for Nesbitt. But yeah, Kindle was a great pick. They have 3 first round picks, Zanin and Horikoff. So I like what they did, and I'm just surprised that they're playing him in the NHL. But yeah, so
And it's funny because every post draft like show and interviews and stuff like that, we're all talking about how Kindle should have been taken lower, and they don't understand why Pittsburgh did that and took him at 11. And then
well, yeah, the Nesbitt trade for 2 first round picks helped Pittsburgh because
yeah.
like Pittsburgh already had that pick, and then they were like, "We're gonna get 2 first round picks from the Flyers." So I feel like that helped him, and then Nesbitt was just like, well, "What is going on?" So I think the Nesbitt trade helped him for sure.
All right, so let's jump to Nesbitt. What do you think?
I don't like it. Victor Eklund was right there. You got to take Victor Eklund, in my opinion. I see what they're doing with
No, Carter Bear. I prefer
Nesbitt.
Bear.
I love Bear, but the Achilles injury last year, like I just thought Eklund was more of a this is the guy that you need to take in this position. He was falling. So even though I'm a big Carter Bear guy and I could totally see him, his player comp for himself is like a Brandon Hagel, and I totally see him being kind of player that just fits a championship roster and could be a contributor and really good in all facets. But Jack Nesbitt, 6'5", you can totally see the upside of that. But the thing is, he's not really I don't see him being a point producer in the NHL where he's going to get that. He's more of a middle six center where you already have Jet Luchenko. I think that you needed to get the upside play or just take multiple hits. I didn't really understand this then, and I don't understand it now. I think that he's probably gone down. His stock has gone down. He plays like an 1980s hockey player in terms of his style. It's very old style too. So it's definitely Flyers hockey in terms of kind of a playoff guy, but I just don't see that upside there. But I could be wrong, but I think they left talent off the board, and that's all what a draft is.
Yeah,
If you get Jack Nesbitt in the 20s, that's a great pick. If you get him
that's
where
different.
you have
Yeah.
to trade 2 first-round picks, that's different. It's nothing against Jack Nesbitt. It's just all value. I see a draft as like a stock market. You got to just find the value stocks, and I feel like it's it's a it's not really a game, but it's like a dartboard. And if you trade 2 first-round picks for a guy that was falling very, very far, I understand that. But if you trade a guy 2 first-round picks for a guy that shouldn't have even been taken there, I don't understand that. I know there was talk that he was going to get drafted by one of these teams in the top 15. I don't see who would have done that at this point.
I think
Columbus already had Jackson Smith.
he screams third line center to me. Like
Yeah.
and he's not very
And so does
mobile. Like
Jelochenko.
when you watch him, he has heavy feet. So I don't know, man. It's like even to be an effective third line center, let's say he becomes like Adam Lowry. Okay, excellent two way player. Doesn't put a lot of points on the board,
Mhm.
but I think he has to take a step to get there. Like there's, I don't know. It would not be my pick for sure. I think he would go down, but that's usually what I think about all the Philadelphia Flyers picks. So I'm not a fan of the way they're drafting. So maybe in the end they will make me look like a fool, and all those players are going to be good, and they're going to have a great team, and they will assemble something that's very good. But it's just individually, it doesn't look great. Even like Jet Luchenko, like individually, he was taking what 13 overall.
Mhm.
Doesn't look great to me, but anyway, we'll see in the future. And after that, one of my favorite from last year, Carter Bear. We already talked a little bit about him. Um, for me, he's a guy that can probably go top 10 in a redraft in a couple years from now. I don't think he's there yet. Like 57 points, 27 goal, 41 games. It's a very good production, but it's a WHL, a little bit like the QMJHL. There's a lot of points in those leagues. Um, so sometimes the numbers can be deceiving a little bit, but the way he plays, like he's so competitive, so physical, and like he plays like I said, Brendan Hagel is basically the type of player that he looks like. But he's also skilled. He's not just like a guy that will bang and that will fight for pucks. He's a guy that also has skills, has vision, can make real plays with the puck. He's not like a guy that will is just complimentary. He can do a little bit of everything at a high level on top of his competitiveness, which is out of this world. So I think that's a guy in a redraft that could probably go top 10. Um, yeah.
Had a lacerated Achilles injury, ended up being able to skate within months after it, so it wasn't a full rupture, which is really, really
Mhm.
good. Thought he was going to tank his draft stock. This guy was a guy that didn't actually know he was going to be drafted in the first round at all. He was not anywhere in the sphere of looking at
Yeah.
draft prospects. He was just happy to be in the position he is. That's the kind of guy he is. He's a very family family oriented guy that's just like plays hockey, and I think that that's something that it's respectable. Carter Bear's Stevie Y kind of draft pick where the Detroit Red Wings have drafted similar players for the last few years, on like probably after Cider, but now you get a guy like Bear where it's completely different than the guys that you're drafting. I can totally see him being in the top 6 for them for a very long time. He is the he's a hard worker, he's a grinder. He's never going to take the foot off the gas pedal. Even if he's not one of the most highly skilled players, you're not going to notice because he's always going to be where the puck is. He's always going to find that open space. He's always just going to grind. And that's the kind of thing you need. He's always engaged. He's intense. Playoff player again. I think that that's kind of a trend with high end draft picks. You need to see the kind of playoff upside this guy has, and he has that. So really like this pick. I thought that he was probably going to go to the Red Wings at this pick as well. I think that I mocked it here multiple times. Um, so I'm just happy for Carter Bear because that lacerated Achilles was not a full tear. It did not rupture fully, and I'm just thankful because that was a scary injury and it was really really bad.
All right. Next one. We are right here. Jackson Smith. I'm interested to know what you think about Jackson Smith because he's not having a bad season in Penn State. He's like 19 points, 26 games for a player, a defenseman, 6'4" that we know would be able to put the offensive number on the board. I'm excited to see what you think.
Yeah, Jackson Smith is one of my favorite defensive prospects in the entire NHL. When when I was looking at like watching his play last year in the WHL, I was so confused on how this guy didn't have 70, 80 points in the WHL. Like he looked like a guy that was going to get that with the skill he had, the shot, the offensive awareness. But now you're seeing it in the NCAA on a good Penn State team. But at the same time, he is one of the players that is scoring a ton of goals. He's not picking up these assists. He's not picking up secondary assists and like bloating up his numbers. This guy is actually scoring a lot of goals. He's getting open. He's allowing his teammates to find him, especially, as a trailer or I feel like he is just one of those guys that is going to continue to get better. The Columbus Blue Jackets had him ranked fourth on their board, and obviously they didn't think he was going to be there at 14. I really do like everything about Jackson Smith. He is 6'4", left-handed defenseman that is putting up 19 points in his first NCAA season. That is nothing to scoff at. He's also very good defensively, really good on his feet. I think that he's one of the best skaters that was in the class last year defensively. It's just one of those guys that I continue to think is getting better every year in his development. Obviously, in the WHL the year before last in Tri City, he didn't really put up a lot of points, and every year he's just understanding his offensive skill and he's understanding how to put up those points. So he's a player that's going to continue to get better. I have no doubt he's going to be a top 4 NHL defenseman. I have no doubt that he's probably going to find power play time because he is offensively skilled and his defense is very, very good. So it's not that he's just one of these offensively skilled players, the defenseman that doesn't have that defensive floor because he's 6'4" and he plays well defensively and he is able to recover well because of his speed and his foot
Yeah.
speed. And he's very agile, is really good with his edge work. So definitely a player that I think would still go in this spot. I mean, probably one or two picks before, but a lot of these guys that are early on, I think Jack Nesbitt is the only one that's kind of teetering lower in
Yeah.
his profile.
My thing with Jackson Smith is, like you said, he's good at defense, but only when he's on or when like the lights are on. Like sometimes it feels like he can get lost pretty quickly when things starts turning around him. Like he can defend the rush well because he has the feet to defend the rush and can adapt to players and what they're going to do. But once it starts moving in his own zone, I feel like he gets caught puck watching a lot, and it was the same thing last year, and it's the same thing this year. I think for the NHL, that's something that will need to take a good step where he gets lost less often and where he's more awake on the ice and he understands a little bit more what's happening in the defensive zone. But outside of that, like you said, like the frame, the skating, the shot, he makes plays, he gets the puck, he retrieves the puck, and then he sends the offense on their way. Like there's so much to like about him. Like if you're nitpicking something about his in zone defense, it's really not the end of the world. It's just something that I feel needs to take a step for him to be an actual NHL defenseman. All
More
right.
consistency defensively.
Yeah, basically. Then after that, Captain Canada, Braden Coots. What do you think at number 15?
Yeah, Captain Coots, he got traded in season from the Thunderbirds. He was the captain, obviously, to Prince Albert Raiders, and I was with Daxon Rudolph. And I just feel like his production was always going to be good, but like this is a guy that's very consistent. Like I said last year over and over, he went to Chipotle every single day and got the exact same thing, double protein. This is a guy that's going to bulk up, and just the consistency is there every time. I mocked him to this spot multiple times. His mom and family actually came up to me after the draft and was like, "Oh, you mocked him to the Canucks. You called it." I was like, "Thank you for remembering that. That's crazy." So
Well, that's
I
cool,
always
bro.
have that story. They're very nice people. I mean, he is just one of those guys that everybody just
That's how you
And
impress the girls
he's enamored with
when you go in a bar. He's like,
what?
you know,
No, no,
he's, Braden Coop's moms went
no one.
to.
I don't think like a lot of people know NHL prospects like that.
Oh, okay.
Like that's not the first when I don't usually go to bars, but that's not something I'll open with. But that,
Your
like,
icebreaker
do
with girls. Do you know Braden
you
Coops?
know the prospect on? Do you know Blue Chip Prospect? Oh yeah, watch them all the time. No, but definitely not something I bring up. But I would say Braden Coots is just one of those guys that just screams top six, very consistent. I think the Canucks needed that to go into their rebuild because it's probably going to be a couple long years for them. But really good player. He played well at the World Juniors. The production, wasn't really there, but when they needed a goal, he scored the goal. So really great player in my opinion. I think that he's going to have a very long NHL career.
You said he screams top six. To me, he screams middle six, meaning that he can be either a high end, like third line center, as much as he could be like maybe
Yeah,
a little bit of a
I could see that.
maybe. Not, I don't think he's ever going to be like a high end second line center. There's something missing in there. Like there's some creativity. Like he has that direct game. He's a good shooter. He's a good passer. He skates really well. He's competitive. Like he does everything well, but I feel like he's missing that creativity. He makes me think of Casper in Detroit.
Mm.
No, that's same type of like hockey player. I think Casper is probably a little bit bigger, but forget that. It's just I feel like as a player, he has the same type of play. And I'm not the biggest fan of Casper either. So, like, I like Coots. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say that he doesn't deserve to be taken top 16 in this draft. I think that he probably does, but I'm not sure I would say he screams top six. At least not for me. You can
Well,
say whatever
I
you want
believe
with me.
so. It's all situational based. I think the Canucks are going into a really big rebuild, so he's going to have the
Yeah.
opportunity to play top six, especially time on ice. There's just so many holes that they have that I feel like they're going to give him the top six opportunity. If he was on the
Yeah,
Panthers,
for now.
he's never touching top six. Like no one can really touch top six if you're on the Panthers, or no one can
Mhm.
really touch top six if you're on like what the Habs are building or what the Leafs are building. But I'm just saying, like for the Canucks, I don't believe that they are going to have the superstar high end skill players that are going to push him out of the top six. I think
Yeah,
that
if you
his
put it in a
leadership,
situation like that, I
yeah,
understand what you're saying. I like to put everybody on the same pedestal. So I
gotcha,
kind
gotcha.
of since every team, their goal is to be a competitive team in the playoff. Like not necessarily always a Stanley Cup winner because you can't. There's 32 teams, right? But at least a team that tries to contend year after year consistently. So I try to put players in that type of team, any team it could be. And Braden Kuza, I feel like he's probably more middle six than top six in that situation.
No, I
But
can get, I get that, I get that.
that's just me. Like I like him. Don't come at me and say I don't like him. It's not that. It's just and then the last one at number 16, Victor Eklund. What do you think of him at number 16? I think that's easy.
One of my favorite players in this entire class. I was on Isles House, which is one of the biggest Isles podcasts yesterday, and we were just gushing over this guy. This is a guy that plays so much bigger than he is. He's under 6 feet, but you would never know it. The guy has a lot more strength than the average mind would think, in my opinion, to his game. In the SHL, he's actually producing pretty good numbers against men. He is a player that can and should gain more muscle mass because he's going to need to do that. But at the World Juniors, he was just fantastic. He was
Yeah.
electric. He helped them win gold, obviously, but he was one of the best players on their team every single night. He is just a staple of Swedish hockey, and I feel like he's going to be a superstar, not in the NHL, but like every international tournament. This is the guy that you are going to see on Anton Frondel's line with Stenberg, even Leo Carlson. Like they are building an incredible Swedish team that just took home World Juniors gold when I thought that they were going to get the silver. Obviously, I knew that they were probably going to medal. I mean, this team is just absolutely loaded. But the beat Canada, uh, like to take away the gold from Canada, I thought was very impressive. He was one of the most impressive players that I saw at that tournament. Such high skill. He's never afraid to go to the middle of the ice, which with when you see sub 6 foot players, that's kind of the concern. He's a good. He's like the little small details into the movements allow him to win board battles more than you would think, but it's not based on his muscle. It's not based on him hitting or doing that. He has really quick hands, really good playmaker, and he's a play driver. So this is everything you kind of need for a team like the Islanders. And I could see him and Cole Iserman just like putting up a ton of power play points together, especially with Matthew Schaefer.
If I remember well, my final ranking, I had Eklund above Frondell, and I'm not sure if I would do the same, but
No,
I
you wouldn't.
prefer the, but I prefer the archetype of Victor Eklund. It's just that I'm not sure if he can do what he does in the SHL in the NHL. That's my question mark. Like what he does right now, when you watch him, it's impressive, but it's not the same type of physicality. It's not the same type of players covers a lot more ice, a lot more fast, and a lot more physically than they do in the SHL. I think he will be an NHL player that will be good, at top 6 NHL player. I really really think so. Um, but like I said, my only doubt is if he can keep doing what he's doing in the SHL in the NHL. It's a pretty big gap, and like the playmaking, the skating, that's fine. That's gonna keep going. He's still gonna go retrieve puck deep in the zone because that's what he does. He doesn't know how to not do that. He doesn't know how to battle for pucks and stuff like that. So he's gonna keep doing it. But is he going to be able to do it successfully the same way that he does outside the NHL? That's my only question. But if there's a guy that's prone to be a top 10 player in a redraft in a couple years from now, it's Victor Eklund for sure. And
Yeah.
I know you said top 16 only, but I'm going to ask you a trick question. Outside the top 16, give me 3 players that you think would maybe be top 16 in a redraft in 5 years from now.
Well, this is a good question because I feel like Aitchison's an easy one just based on how he's playing. That
Yeah, you like him?
that it was not a fluke that he scored 26 goals last year because he has 24 in the OHL this year, and
Mm.
the only knock on him is probably his skating. He might be one of the worst skaters in the entire first
I
round of
don't
this
really
draft.
like him overall. I mean,
But he's a sound defensive player, not like to an above average level, but I would say it's nearing NHL level. He's a good offensive player too. He has that size, and he was drafted 17th, so it's a lot easier to get 16th to answer your question. But I would also say, like, I'm a big Riker Lee guy. I think that what Riker Lee has done and does do, he should not have been drafted at that spot at 26. He was a player that grew a lot in one summer, I think 6 inches. And that's a guy that played really well at the World Juniors. He is a guy that possesses so much skill. He had to learn how to play in that newfound height in his body. But also, my favorite player that I wasn't even biased when the Blackhawks took him here. I was just somebody that had him in the 20s when he was in the 40s. And
you said about a
that
million
was
times that you wanted him. So
yeah, that was Václav Nestrasil. Like, this is one of my favorite players. He has so much offensive ability, but I don't think he's even showed it. And even he's on the tip of the iceberg of that. He is a really good playmaker. I believe that he can continue to get better with skill around him. You're seeing at UMass that he can score. His hands are fantastic for his size. He's like 6'6" now, and I asked him and he said he was done growing, but if he is, that's good because you don't really want to be 6'7" or 6'8", and because that kind of just like 6'6" is the max that you kind of want to be. But
yeah.
like, he is just such a talented player that I think that his B game is also very good. He's going to help you defensively. I think that this guy's going to be one of the elite third line players in the NHL because the Blackhawks are just so loaded on their top 6 that I don't know if he's necessarily going to be in that top 6. I would love him to be. I would love him to be a first line player with Connor Bedard and a Anton Frandel, who they've known each other since they were 9 years old when Václav made Anton Frandel fall on his butt, and he went between the leagues for a goal when they were 9 years old in Italy. So they have that story to tell, and they're good friends off the ice now. But I just think that this is a guy that really helped Czech win silver. He was always evident on the ice. You can always see him. It's very hard to miss this guy, especially if you're in the nosebleeds. He's 6'6" and has a ton of upside. So those are the three I would want to know. Oh, and obviously Zarovsky, but we already talked about him. So that
Yeah.
would, if we took out Aitchison, because that would kind of be, he's the 17th and this is top 16, I would say Zarovsky. Obviously, we've talked about it. This is a guy that has so much offensive skill. He is so fun to watch. Like we talk about Mathis Preston having so much skill in this draft. Like Zarovsky has more playmaking ability or dangling ability. Like I like watching Zarovsky more than I like watching Mathis Preston, and I like watching Mathis Preston play. So
Yeah. I think I'm not sure if I can make it to only three players. There's so many players that I like outside of the top 16, but I think the players that have the more chance to make it like in the first half of the first round in the future, uh, like you, Vaclav Nestrazel is one of those players that has big fat chance of being a top player in this draft. Not like a top 5 player, but a guy that's like close to the top 10 maybe. Riker Lee, like you said, also such an impressive player. He was impressive last year, and for some reason, I had him like I think beginning of second round or like at the very end of the first round, and I don't know why because I really like watching him. It's just sometimes you create like scenarios in your head and you just like putting down player for no reason. But anyway, just an impressive player. William Horkoff, another player that I really like. I liked him last year. I had him in my first round. I think I even had him as high as like 20 or something like that, and yeah, he's just really good. Alex Jarovsky, like you said, the skill is incredible. Like to get a player with that amount of skill at 34 is just crazy. But the most important thing for me is how much offense he creates by himself. Like he doesn't need the other players to distribute pucks for him. He doesn't need players to get the puck along the board for him. He doesn't need anything. Like once he gets into the offensive zone, wherever the puck is, he can grab it, bring it,
yep.
and score. He's just like he creates so many looks for himself. He's freaking dangerous. And I would also maybe put Cole Rezhny in there. He's a player that I really loved last year. Still love him a lot. Smaller player, but it's just a player in who I believe a lot. So yeah, it wasn't 3, it was 5. It is the way that it is.
it's hard. It's hard to only pick three. There's a lot of good players in this draft that actually have elevated their stock for sure. I was actually going to say Cole Rezhny, like even someone that's impressed me is like you said, Horkoff. I like Potter a lot. This I love Milton Gastrin. Like Milton Gastrin's one of my
Yeah.
favorite players. I don't understand why they didn't play him in the gold medal game because he's been their captain of that Swedish team for such a long time. He deserved the chance to play in that gold medal game. And this is a
Yeah.
guy that is such a good like defensive player and his B game is great. He's not going to put up like 70 points in the NHL, but I just feel like this is an NHL player and their floor, really good bottom 6 player, but he should have been in that gold medal game. I was very disappointed he wasn't. It was a disservice to him because everything that all the times that he was the captain of those teams, you need to reward that guy, and he didn't play bad. He was never looking like he shouldn't be on that ice. I thought Carter Bear should have also played a lot more in the World Juniors. Playing him only 2 games was such malpractice, in my opinion. Like you
Malpractice.
can't Canada Canada needed Carter Bear. Like you saw when they didn't have that guy, especially in the medal games and especially when they were fighting in elimination games. You need to put that man out there. That was just dumb. But everything
That's what we
else
do.
pretty good. Yep. Sorry about that.
All right. Well, so that's the end of the show for today. You want to say something about the Discord, I think?
Yeah, we're going to be creating a on the clock Discord. So you guys can ask us questions, you can talk to us, kind of give us your thoughts and give us ideas on videos, but we're going to be starting to do more just Q&As. I think that this is the start of the time when the NHL starts to ramp up. The Olympics is ending, we're getting the NHL back and everything is going to be back to normal in we're going to get the trade deadline very, very soon too. So there's going to be a lot of things that you could ask us about. We are continuing to ramp up our production for the draft. I mean, you guys can ask me a bunch of stuff. I just went to the AHL All-Star game. It was hosted by Hard Rock Casino. I was playing blackjack with a bunch of the prospects, which was pretty fun, pretty cool thing to do. So you can ask me about stories or anything like that, whatever you want. Just in the Discord, hit the comments. You could always DM us on X at the Prospect Dawn. You know what it is, and Blue Chip Prospect over there. So definitely join that. It's going to be in the description below. If you do want to join, it's going to be completely free, but just keep up with it if you guys want to ask us questions. It's going to be a lot of prospect stuff, so definitely join that. But thank you guys all for watching, and we're going to be doing like many prospect pool videos. We're going to be doing a Blackhawks prospect pool evaluation as well as the Habs and all 32 teams if you guys want. So just we are going to be starting to do as many videos as we possibly can per week. So I think that this is the time when we need to just explode on the content. So thank you guys for all your support. Smack that like button, follow us, and thank you so much for all the support we've gotten.
All right. Cool. That was a good ending. Thanks for watching, people. Please take the time to like and subscribe. Follow us anywhere you want to follow us, or don't. And see you in the next one. All right. Peace.